Talmor, Shishin Magachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
Hi, it's Bill Horvat from the Vancouver Canucks.
Hey guys, it's Brittany Palmer, the UFC Octagon Girl.
Hey, this is Trevor Hurst of Econoline Crush.
Hi, it's Bob Lenarduzzi of the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Hi, this is Theodis Crane from AMC's The Walking Dead and WGN's Underground.
Hi, this is George Thorogood.
Hi, I'm Jackie Childs, social influencer.
Hi, I'm William B. Davis, the cigarette-smoking man from the X-Files.
Hey, this is Jimmy Paul from Hell Yeah! And you're listening to the Toddcast right there in Vancouver.
The Toddcast podcast
is powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, providing complete financing and mortgage services for residential and small commercial businesses. Visit them at citywidemortgage.ca.
Now, here's your host, Todd Hancock.
Would you say you're on Team Tank with the Vancouver Canucks this season? Like, bomb the rest of the year, we'll have a better chance of nailing down and getting Connor Bedard. Imagine that. I mean, if you ask the kid, he would say he wants to play in Vancouver. And once all the drama with Coach Boudreau started unraveling, and rather publicly, right? Rutherford outright telling reporters that he'd been looking for somebody to replace Bruce. Bruce, there it is. We're losing lots of games. They signed Miller to a massive deal after his, granted, 100-point season last year. But they leave our captain, Horvat, waiting in the wings. Did it surprise you, the way that things unfolded? Or was it just kind of like, well, it's par for the course when you're talking about the Vancouver Canucks? Well, this week, you'll hear from our resident sports loudmouth, Mr. Tequila. He's been ranting and rolling with us since the glory days, back when I was doing C Fox's afternoon show, damn near 12 years of doing that. He would jump on every couple of weeks for years and years and just give his take on all of our local sports teams, like the Canucks and the Lions and the Whitecaps, the Ravens, the Canadians, baseball to some degree. And this time, the talk with Tequila, you can bet that he had some thoughts on the way the Canucks handled the firing of Coach Boudreau.
Well, that Boudreau thing, that was terrible, man. I didn't like that at all. That was a good coach, a good guy. We just had some really shitty defense, some shitty goaltending, and just some average players that we've got on this roster. But the thing I don't get with Boudreau, last year we were the second half of the season, we were one of the best teams in the NHL second half. So we almost made the playoffs.
Yeah, no, 100%. The fans were behind Boudreau. I was at one of the last games that he was a coach for the Canucks and, kind of fighting back getting a bit of something going on in my throat here. Yeah, no, the fans were big on Boudreau. I wonder how Rick Tocchet will do now. You know, he'll have a clean slate for next season and hopefully, fingers crossed, we get Bedard. Yeah, right. So joining Mr. Tequila this week, she's an actor, a game developer, and the host of the It's Not Therapy show. Liana Kerzner is a guest too.
The mental health stuff is obviously really rewarding, but it can be, this week there was somebody who almost broke up in the long-term relationship. Somebody's mother died, all the stuff. And so having the other things like playing Yakuza Kiwami 2 in the same week I'm doing that, for people is awesome, right?
You gotta love people that multitask. Liana Kerzner, a guest this week. You'll hear this week's musical guest in just a second. An absolutely crushing drummer, recently signed with Pearl Drums. Coming up shortly, in Stop Me If You've Heard This Before, BC Lions kicker Sean White talks about the best pranks that he's been involved in the CFL. That is powered by our good buddies at FKP MMA. Talking about a great way to learn self-defense and build your self-esteem, meet new friends, get fit, get confidence. My youngest, Levi, has been going for a couple times a week for about just over a year now. Loves it. They are Vancouver's #1 training destination. Check them out through fkpmma.com. TheVanCouverCanucksStudios.com. First, our first guest of 3, this week's musical guest, former Plush drummer Brooke Colucci. It's brought to you by Vibe Cave Studios in East Vancouver. If you've got a good song that just needs a mix, and a really good mix, a great mix, look no further. Talk to Braden. He works on all sorts of genres, does great work. In fact, check out a track he did with Phil McQueen called Should Have Known. The album is out now.
How could I have known when I met you? How could I know? How could I know? And you love me without reason. Little did I know that you make my heart stop beating.
Yeah, I really dig this. Again, new music from Phil McQueen and Should Have Known. Again, hit up Braden, get huge mixes, killer sounds, great vibes through vibecavestudios.com. So you may remember back in mid-August last year, about 6 months back now, Plush posted online that their drummer Brooke Colucci had left the band. They said, "It's been an honor sharing the stage with her for the past 2 years in front of thousands of fans, and we wish her the best with her future projects." And yes, a future project is on the way, as Brooke told us when we jumped on a Zoom with her.
So definitely, you'll see me more on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all that, all the social media stuff.
Yep.
But I am working on a band, and I'm really, really excited to share more. I'm really stoked for it. We are going to be heading into the studio early spring. And yeah, I can't share too much yet. We're still working on it, but I'm going to be probably flying a lot back and forth from New York to LA to work on it.
Sweet.
And yeah, I'm super stoked, and I can't wait to share more with everybody. So yeah, keep a lookout for that. I hope I can share more about it soon.
I can't wait to hear what Brooke has up her sleeve. Big fan of what she's doing on Instagram as well. Crazy, crazy good drummer. We talked with Brooke for just over 20 minutes. You can hear it right now at our iTunes and Spotify SoundCloud accounts. You can see it if you'd prefer the video at, of course, our YouTube channel, all at Toddcast Podcast. And like always, we got into it with her. The possibilities of aliens visiting Earth came up. So did binge watching shows. She was into the Gilmore Girls, and she shared her first musical memory with us as well.
I remember there was one time I was like playing, and this was like when I first got like my little mini first act drum kit.
Yeah.
I asked for it for Christmas, and Santa delivered it. He came through.
Nice.
So I remember I was like 5 or 6, and I was just like, playing like the beat of We Will Rock You, like, like the dun, dun, and yeah, just because like, that was like easy, and like when you're just starting out, that's like the easiest thing to play. And I remember I'm just like playing that, and like my mom comes like dancing into it, and it was so funny.
That's awesome. So she grew up in like a really big musical house then.
Yeah, so my parents, they're not musicians themselves, but they have always loved and appreciated music.
But really though, could you nail down a question like that? Like, what's your first musical memory? I often ask the question, something like this, and without thinking like, could I even answer that question? I'm not sure. Honestly, I think maybe my first musical memory would be, it definitely involves driving in my mom's Mustang, 68 Mustang back in the day. We living in Surrey. Might be something like hearing Eddie Rabbitt's "I Love a Rainy Night" on the radio. I remember my mom just cranking that song, "I love a rainy night, I love a rainy night." I love my mom would crank that song in the car. She'd sing along, and it was just such it still is to this day, a really cool memory for sure. So Brooke got talking about seeing Godsmack and Seven Dust in concert, how she played lacrosse as a kid, the effort that it takes to create those Instagram videos that you see on her page, and she even shared a near-death story.
Okay, I'm going to go with this one. So growing up, I used to race motocross. Yeah. So this was, I was really young. I was about maybe like 8 or 9, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And I was racing. This was and I was going around this track that was pretty big, and I was going around a corner, and the way that, I don't know, it just, the dirt was there, and then they had just watered it. It made it super slick. So I totally slipped out, and, I hit my head pretty hard from just the fall itself.
Mm-hmm.
But where it was in the track, there was like a little hump before it, so people couldn't really see over the hump. So I ended up getting run over by another kid on a dirt bike.
Wow.
So I had luckily I had on like all like the protective gear and stuff. So
yeah.
I was fine, but it took me a couple minutes to get up after that one, and I was like, shit, that was fucking crazy.
No
I just got run over.
Oh my God.
I literally, I'm not joking either. I had like tire marks on my side too. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Like weeks to recover kind of thing?
Well, I was like a little kid. So like it took me like a couple days and I was like fine again.
The quick bounce back as a kid, right?
Yeah. Like if I got run over now, it would be like 3 weeks and I'd be like, oh.
Disastrous at this point, yeah.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like Brooke should have grown up in the 70s. No helmets, taking bike jumps. There's no way you should be taking these jumps. And I mean, that's the thing, right? If you ask most people that if they have a near-death story, most of them will have one or two, maybe even 3 or 4. I've got a handful, of which I've told many times on this podcast over the years. We talked to Brooke about rock autobiographies. We got her to give a few recommendations. I suggested Life, if you haven't read that one, by Keith Richards, is fantastic. Wonder Woman came up, so did Zeppelin. Speaking of Keith and the Rolling Stones, Brooke shared what's been her career highlight thus far.
Career highlight. It's funny because this is something that had been in the works for like almost a year now. But because of like COVID, they were like so backed up with like orders and stuff. So it took me a while to get my kit. And especially since the finish that I wanted, they had to send it back to the factory to do it. But that is for sure like a career highlight, definitely, seeing the hard work pay off, essentially, getting like the endorsements.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. Like I was kind of just creeping on your Facebook page, and Ray Luzier is like, hey, nice one, Brooke, congrats, welcome to the family. Like fucking corn drummers, like what's up? Like it's pretty crazy.
I think that's like definitely a highlight, as well as seeing people from bands that I love reach out to me and be like, hey, like sick videos. That's definitely a career highlight.
Yeah.
Playing shows and all that sort of stuff. I love playing out live. It's one of my absolute favorite things.
Sure.
What'd you say?
I said sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Lives where it's at, right?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely just like feeling the energy from the crowd and like getting into the music, and yeah.
Toddcast podcast musical guest visits are powered by Vibe Cave Studios in East Vancouver. Huge mixes, killer sounds, great vibes. Visit them at vibecavestudios.com.
dice? Are you working for the man? He's got snipers all around the White House lawns, as washed as your pocket. This is the promised land. And when they told you they would always play fair, yeah, well, you know it's a lie. Who are the ones that will always be there beside you? Hey. If heaven is a mile away, we're on the other side. If heaven is a mile away, we're on the other side. Come a bit closer. If heaven is a mile away, we're on the other side. If heaven is a mile away, and we're on the other, we're on the other side. You can keep your guru in all his bougie calm and voodoo, banging on your bongo drum, chasing the light away. For those hell-bent on self-perfection, one simple question will remain. When the streets are clean and your heart pure, can you get down and dirty once again? Nobody showed me the disclaimer that says real people and not actors. 1,000 brides game gods with their eyes on the sky, only rain trickling down. If heaven is a mile away, we're on the other side. If heaven is a mile away, we're on the other side. Come a bit closer. If heaven is a mile away, we're on the other side. If heaven is a mile away, and we're on the other. Really all on me, over me. How can I make it right? I'm right here trying to get through to you on the other side. And I don't know what I should do, but I wanna make it right. I'm right here trying to get through to you on the other side. They say heaven is a mile away, that I'll rush the borderline. Heaven is a mile away, we're on the other side. Heaven is a mile away, we're on the other side. Come a bit closer. If heaven is a mile away, we're on the other side. If heaven is a mile away, we're on the other.
Your best way to hit the slopes this winter is with the Cypress Mountain Sky Card. Visit cypressmountain.com for details.
And now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
Every once in a while, you catch a break. Of course, it's all about hard work, putting in the time. Nothing good comes easy. Such is the case with BC Lions kicker Shaun White. If you follow the CFL, you know that Shaun came into the league as a BC Lion. Originally signed with them as a territorial exemption in 2007. Then he was traded to the Alouettes, was there for 4 seasons, then to Edmonton for 6 seasons, and since last season, he's been back with the BC Lions. And he's able to hang out with friends and family after home games. He's back to where he belongs. He's home. And in our 29-minute interview with Sean, you'll hear him talk about the Vancouver Canucks and the wild up and down season that they're having. We got into a lot of stuff with Sean, talking binge watching Ozark, Cobra Kai, Boba Fett, trying to catch as much of the Beijing Olympics as possible. He shared a story about gambling in Vegas. We talked about the music of Green Day, the Chili Peppers, Jay-Z. He talked about the last concert that he saw. And stop me if you've heard this before, Sean shared the best CFL prank that he's been involved in.
There's got to be something there.
Yeah, this one guy. So I was a rookie for 5 years with BC, and so that was a lot of hazing towards me. So after that, I almost got promoted right away to the Phantom. So now what happens is the O-line keeps track of rookies that aren't doing the right thing, and they make a list and they give it to me. So then it's my job to prank them. So I think the best one, and they'll rank them like, get this guy good, this guy not so good. So this guy had to be good. So I put all of his clothes. So, and also as a kicker, I'm not doing anything at practice. So I go in during practice. This was in BC too. So I started filling up a plastic bag full of this guy's clothes, filled it with water, tied it up tight, and put it in the freezer. And now no one says anything. Plus I didn't tell anybody but the O-line. And that's when it was like, was it Kelly Bates was there, and freaking Reed and all those guys. So they didn't say anything. So anyways, this guy couldn't find his clothes. He lost his mind. Like, he was trying to fight everybody.
Oh,
but
no.
Never expect me because I'm the smallest guy there. And he left it. He couldn't find it for a week. And then one day he went to go get ice to ice something. And that's when he found his clothes, and it was just a big block. And it was funny. So he had to just thaw it. He threw it outside and just let it thaw. And it was so fun. It was a good one.
Stop Me If You've Heard This Before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by FKP MMA, Vancouver's #1 training destination at fkpmma.com.
We're fighting every day. I got no words left to say. I think I'm moving on. We tried our best. These words have been on my chest. I think I'm moving on. We're too young to have this many problems, too old for all of the drama. Don't know where it went wrong. I love you too much to drag this out farther. I hate that we're not meant for each other. It's better now than to carry on. I think we're moving on. I think we're moving on. I think we're moving on. In a couple of years, I'll see you out having beers with someone you belong. He'll treat you right, give you cuddles every night. He will hold you tight, like I would always fight. It'll be alright, it'll be alright. We're too young to have this many problems, too old for all of the drama. Don't know where it went wrong. I love you too much to drag this out farther. I hate that we're not meant for each other. It's better now than to carry on. I think we're moving on. I think we're moving on. I think we're moving on. So close, no one knows me any better. summer, so far from our first days together, staying up dusk till dawn. Can't believe we're moving on. Can't believe we're moving on. I can't believe we're moving on.
Very nice. The band is Rare Americans, and a new song for them is called Moving On, if you hadn't picked that up. You can see them next month in Vancouver at Fortune Sound Club. They're playing on Saturday, March 18th. It's an all ages as well, so that's kind of cool. Reached out to those guys, in fact, through Instagram about a month back, about doing a Blue Light Sessions with the podcast. Their response was, for sure. We'll try to make something work, which of course doesn't always mean 100% because, things can change, but hopefully you'll see a live show with Rare Americans. Maybe we'll try and dial something up this summer. That'd be cool. Played you the Boom Booms, and that's another new song for the podcast, at least. It's not new. It's on their latest album, a great song for them called Other Side. Kind of what you would come to expect out of them at this point, though, hey? Like, every song is so damn good. Their singer, Aaron Ross, was actually the first Blue Light Sessions that we did back last summer. He and Boom Boom's drummer, Theo, banked something off, which was very, very cool. Speaking of cool, Adara from our title sponsor, Citywide Mortgage Services. Let my buddies hold your hand, by the way, start to finish through your next mortgage process for the next house or whatever you buy. They'll make it ridiculously easy for you. Straight up. They are industry heavyweights. I mean, Citywide Mortgage. You've heard their name, right? They're the pinnacle of what they do. Anyway, Dara from Citywide was, I think, a couple months back. So it was maybe 2-3 shows back at a Blue Light Sessions. Very, very cool to see a sponsor supporting, beyond the norm, the cash money and allowing us to build and grow. Nothing but great things to say about those guys. Citywide Mortgage. All right, coming up in just a few minutes, listen to this, the Veer Union singer Crispin Earl talking about first concerts, and what a concert it was. What a venue, man. You'll be hard-pressed to beat it. That is powered by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley. RV service and repairs, ICBC accredited, check. Longtime sponsors. We're talking, it's got to be near 7 years, maybe more. Big love to Tamara and her team. They are a key reason that we're able to keep banging off this podcast. You can find them online, Facebook, and on Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies. So first, the second of 3 Toddcast guests this week, our sporting guest, our resident sports loudmouth, Mr. Tequila. That is powered by Hand Over Hand Textiles in Vancouver. We're talking naturally dyed goods for your home, your body. They've got amazing shirts and pants and you name it, scarves and socks and all that stuff. It's very cool. Amazing stuff on their website. They only use pure plant extracts and natural fibers. Nothing they do is bad for Mother Earth. Everything is good from top to bottom. They make great presents, of course. We talk about that all the time. Locally owned, locally operated. Hey, support local. That's how we keep it going. Find out more through handoverhandtextiles.com. So Mr. Tequila, as mentioned off the top, he's been chirping on this podcast since we launched in 15. I think this is 8th or 9th time on. And normally he's on like a once a year kind of thing, right? Although it's been a couple of years since his last visit. He's been part of my radio show back in the days at CFox when I did their afternoon show from 3 to 7. So Tequila would join maybe a couple times a month kind of thing for years, though, years and years, and just give, the straight shooter, no bullshit look at all sports, of course, all local Vancouver teams. And he just kind of made the jump over to the podcast with us. And a pretty obvious place to start with Tequila this time around, the changing of the guard and seeing Bo Horvat, Vancouver's former captain, become a New York Islander.
But Horvat, we still got some all-right players, but he wasn't going to sign here anyhow, right? Peterson, that was the move to make Pedersen captain. I think that's just nature of the beast, right?
Yeah. So are you for Team Tank then? Like, should we be tanking the rest of the season?
Yeah, I'm all for it because this is such an important draft. These are impact-ready players. Bedard, these kids are going to step right into lineup. I'd say top 15 are pretty NHL close already.
Yeah.
But that Bedard, imagine if you get him. That's worth to tank. But we all know with Bettman, he's going to go to Arizona. I was just
going to say, like, what are Vancouver's chances of getting Bedard? Like, Bettman doesn't he doesn't even want to allow that.
He wouldn't allow it, right? No, there's no way.
And cue the conspiracy theorists. There's no way. I can't remember if I quickly told this story on the podcast or not. A couple of months back, I took my family to a Canucks game, and we were playing against the Islanders. Spent about $700 all said and done. Decent seats, were lower bowl. Spent about $1.25, $1.30 on those a piece. $40 parking at Costco. $18 beers, the $10 popcorn, the $8 cotton candy, etc., etc. And about 6 rows behind us, there's a bunch of Islander fans, loud, obnoxious Islander fans. Let's go Islanders! Let's go Islanders! And then they started chanting, "We want Horvat! We want Horvat!" And how about that? Now they have him. I think the full talk with Mr. Tequila is about a half hour long. You can hear it on our social media platforms, all under @Toddcast Podcast, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud. There's no video for this one. Tequila's kind of like Kiss back in the day. There's no seeing his face. As mentioned, it's been a while since you've heard him on the podcast, over 2 years. So it was great to catch up with him. We hung out, plenty of times in real life, just never had a microphone around to catch the chatter. Though this time around, AC/DC and Metallica came up. We quickly touched on the BC Lions and how he recently went up to Prince George for his brother's 50th birthday, watched the Super Bowl at the same time. And since Tequila is probably the biggest Pantera fan that I know, got his thoughts on the current tour and lineup.
I see both ends of it, I guess. Like us being the diehard fan and seeing them so many times and hanging with them and seeing how it ended so just terribly, like the Phil doing all his antics and just stringing along the Abbott brothers like he did. And just, he thought the band was all about him. He had the singer head case fucking mentality going there. And they were on top of the world at that time, right? So he could think like that. But again, Pantera was your bread and butter. You know what I mean? You guys they were a machine together. And then when fucking there's that much bad blood, and then a guy gets killed, there's no fixing that, right? So I take what Vinnie Paul had to say too. Vinnie Paul still never talked to Phil Anselmo about what was said and what he did, right? He knows what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The guy wasn't even allowed at Dimebag's funeral, so that tells you fucking everything you need to know.
Right.
Again, so all that happens. Vinny adamantly said multiple times he would never do a reunion.
Right. He was vocal about it. Like,
no
chances it happening.
Yeah. It's him on the fucking YouTube. That's him talking. That's how it ended it. He fucking said no way. So of course he dies. So his estate really generates a lot of money when you get a fucking tour going and seeing how they're selling. They're saying for the brothers, come on, you got to put for the brothers and for the money. Come on, there's some money being thrown around here too, and that kind of makes me a little upset. I wish they, you know what I mean? They're definitely cashing in on the legacy. That was the brothers' legacy, not theirs. That was the Abbott's brothers band. That was their band, right? And not being exploited by the estates because they sell the merch, they get all the cuts. They're still going to make a pile of money. So,
sure. Oh yeah.
So that aspect is going along too. So, but again, people that haven't seen it, I see the other side, that younger people never saw Pantera. They're just such an influential band, and the first time you hear it, you're hooked on them. They got that kind of mind control, that their riffs and just the way that they come together, explosive. You're hooked right away as soon as you hear it.
Yeah.
So then you would want to see that, right? You'd want to see those songs played again.
Oh, for sure. There's enough fans that haven't seen the band that they look at this lineup and go like, I mean, if this is the only way, this is the only way, right? So as always, we got into it, a lot of stuff with Tequila, mainly sports, of course. Got his thoughts on Bedard and the WHL, where he'll land in the NHL. Like, obviously, who knows, but took some stabs at it. We talked family, crazy concert prices. What's up with concert prices right now? And his Bulgaria summer vacations and almost being robbed by gypsies.
Yeah, so we try to, but when we go over there, we always buy the trip in like a year in advance, right? Yeah. So it's a more friendly of a deal for that when you go with the airline and you try to fly during the week and not on the weekends. So you're talking like that. So it's usually about $5,000 for us every time, $6,000 with inflation. Now it's probably about $6,500.
Yep.
So we go there. We go to this place called Sofia, which is the capital city of Bulgaria. That's where my wife's from. That's where Miss Tequila's from. So we usually spend some time with her family. Drink a lot of cheap beer. Beer is like $2 there still. You can still get like the 2-liter bottle for like $2, $3.
Yeah.
Right. So that's pretty cool. And then just see some of the sights around town. And then we usually go to the Black Sea. So it's this place called Burgas is near Turkey on the Black Sea. So it's kind of an interesting place to go to. The climate's kind of like Penticton in the summer there, but it gets like really hot and muggy. It's like 40 degrees all the time, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Walking around drinking your 4-0.
Oh yeah, you can drink, and you get beer everywhere. It's not a store. You got it, the beer and drinks everywhere. There's no time limits. You can just drink wherever you want there.
Right. And you were close to being robbed by gypsies. You told me a story real quick.
Yeah, so back then it was iPhone. I had my iPhone out, and for some reason near this hospital, my mother and my father-in-law was in the hospital. So I went outside to get a bottle of water for mother-in-law, and I'm checking my phone because we have Wi-Fi there. I saw these guys surround me, but I thought they were driving a taxi, and they kept saying pet. So pet is 5. So I thought they were going to try to give me a drive in the taxi for $5. So I'm like, nay. So I walk by, get the water, come on the way back. And they kept pointing to my phone as I was checking my email on the phone. Then they surround me, and there was like 3 really big dudes, gypsies. So I ran into the hospital, and the security guy stopped at the door. They kind of gave up. And then, we found out later that those guys are out there selling their blood.
Wow.
So Bulgaria, you need blood. So when you need blood in Bulgaria, if a family member has to donate blood on your behalf for you to get blood. So sometimes people don't have family members, and that's what those guys are out there doing. So they have a little clinic off to the side there that they can just go quickly get their blood screened, and they donate for about 75 labs. So that's about 50 Canadian, 40 Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's what those guys were doing out there. And they weren't taxi drivers. They were just the gypsies. But you look at what the one thing I definitely like about Bulgaria, even with the gypsies, it's not like this East Hastings. And you know what I mean? With the needles and shootings and tent cities, there's none of that over there. Like there is some poor and impoverished people. There's no like middle class, but the gypsies there, they still will go work the fields and stuff like that. They're not like bums where they're shooting up and you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Drug dealing, that's not too prevalent there. That hasn't really caught on there.
Red Truck Beer. Nothing delivers like a red truck. Official beer of the Toddcast podcast.
Check 1, 2. Oh, oh. Cool, it used to be true when I was a boy and easily amused. Now I'm grown up, I don't have a clue, but I gotta act like I do.
Toddcast podcast is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca. And now, listen to this on the Toddcast podcast.
The Veer Union formed in Vancouver back in 2004, originally under the name of Veer. You saw them make huge waves right out of the gate, touring with bands like Hinder, Theory of a Deadman, Seether, Blackstone Cherry, and then came the name change to the Veer Union after they signed with Universal Motown Records. They've released 7 studio albums, a handful of EPs, some pretty decent success along the way, top 10 on Billboard's Hot Mainstream Rock Tracks chart. Their song Seasons was the official theme song for WWE Backlash in 2009, plenty of touring, and when their singer Crispin Earle was an in-studio guest, we talked about the constant grind of being in a band. We talked career highlights, touring, family. He shared a near-death story. We talked sports, the Canucks, the BC Lions, the superpower that he'd want to have. And Crispin talked about his first concert, seeing one of Seattle's best all time. Listen to this.
My first concert was actually Pearl Jam at Plaza of Nations.
What?
Yeah.
Pearl Jam at the Plaza.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, and I mean the first real concert. Sure,
the
I've seen
outside Plaza of Nations. You mean?
Yeah.
In the open air.
Yeah.
They don't have on the water in Vancouver, where it's not. You know that they were one of the reasons why they stopped using that venue was because of the fear of the glass high above shattering and literally killing, maiming people below. Right.
Yeah.
That was a rad venue. I saw Rage Against the Machine there. I saw Foo Fighters there. My wife actually passed, at the time wasn't my wife, but she passed out at a Foo Fighter concert just in the pit.
Crazy.
One of those things. But
crazy.
Pearl Jam was your first show?
Yeah, man.
How old were you?
Oh, jeez. That's a good question. Let's skip.
Yeah.
Listen to this on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC-approved repair shop. Visit them on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies.
No problems, so you say now. We're just talking, and I'm looking at you, but you're gone, babe. Was there something to do? And did you think? Did you think you had to? And you're going all the time, and you know that it's a crime. Better turn it on a dime, 'cause you're shutting out the shine. No worry, so to speak, now. I got your pleasantries, but none of them are true. 'Cause you're gone, babe. Was there something to prove? Did you think? Did you think you had to? And you're going all the time, and you know that it's a crime. Better turn it on a dime, 'cause you're shutting out the shine. Yeah. Shut out waking? Are you waking? Are you waking up? Are you waking up? And you're going all the time, and you know that it's a crime. You better turn it on the dime, 'cause you're shutting out the shine. And you're going all the time, and you know that it's a crime. Better turn it on the dime, 'cause you're shutting out the shine.
I'm such a big fan of his work. I'm going to do my best to not fanboy when he plays for us next month. His name is Ivan Hartle, and a brilliant song called Shine. And you're, 5 weeks away now from seeing him with the podcast. We've teamed up to do another Blue Light Sessions next month. So it's Saturday, March 31st at Blue Light Studio, East Vancouver. If you've been to one of these live shows, then you know. If you don't, think acoustic, usually. Q&A. You get to interview the bands or the artist as well. They're just super, super fun nights. Hopefully you can make it out to this one. Oh, heads up. These nights are filmed, so you could end up in promo videos. I don't know if we have like a sheet you got to sign. You're like, I don't want to be in that or whatever, but who knows? Talk to me if that's an issue once you get to the venue. It's $20 in advance through eventbrite.ca, eventbrite.ca. 25 bones if you wait for the door, but we do only release 60 tickets, so grab pre-sale if you want to make sure that you get in. Doors are at 7 o'clock for these shows. Shows go from about like 8 till 9:30, 10-ish, something like that. Played you a new song for the Vito's called The Pressure, and they've done some live stuff with us over the years. Perhaps it's time to revisit the idea, maybe get them banging off a Blue Light Sessions. In the meantime, you can see them live. They're back in Vancouver. I think it was Toronto, wasn't it? 3, 4, 5 years, it felt like anyway. But they're back. They're playing a show at the Rec Room in Burnaby, March 3rd, $25. Doors are at 7:30. Same place, eventbrite.ca for tickets. That'll be a great show. They played for the podcast a couple times over the years. Good players, but absolutely beautiful human beings. That's going to be a killer show. Speaking of live music, find a small list of shows that are happening locally with the indie scene at toddhancock.ca. If you're playing one, if you're checking it out, if it's indie, let us know about it. We'll post it up at the site. We get a bunch of views every day. It's brought to you by Mystic Rhythms Rehearsal Studios. Over 40 years experience in the music industry. We're talking pro jam spaces out in Langley. Bands love it there. Amazing deals for the dollars that are spent. Find out more through mysticrhythms.ca. Okay, our final guest of episode 295 is the host of the It's Not Therapy show, Liana Kerzner, this week's entertainment lifestyle guest, powered by Sacred Meds, Canada's best craft cannabis and psilocybin dispensary. Say that 5 times fast. Say it once fast. You can get oils as well, hash, all kinds of edibles, peyote, LSD, teas, chocolate. We're talking like bunch of CBDs and stuff. It's pretty impressive. The website's pretty awesome. And at registry, mention that you heard about them through this podcast. It will unlock a hidden category on their website. Not even kidding. Use the code TODCAST for 10% off at sacredmeds.com. So you'll better know Liana Kerzner simply as Liana K. Canadian TV host, writer, producer, actor, It's Not Therapy show host. Listen to what Liana said when I asked her what she hopes people take away from that show.
The mental health doesn't have to suck.
Yeah, right.
But it doesn't have to be, the past. I don't know if you've ever been in a therapist office, but that faded pastel paint that looks like Pepto-Bismol and the floral Kleenex box and that very I'm a loser vibe. And therapy is really important for people who have it, but I call what I do emotional nutrition. So therapy is medicine. what I do is mental health nutrition. And if you don't do, the diet, exercise, get enough sleep, no doctor in the world can help you. That's where I come in. It's sort of like personal training and nutrition for your mental health and well-being.
You really should dig into the full talk with Liana. I think we were on Zoom for just over a half hour. You can hear it and see it at our iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube channels. And of course, we're plastered all over Twitter and Facebook, and some videos are up on Instagram as well. And like always, we got into it with Liana, and she talked about the shows that she's been binge watching. And I got to say, Doom Patrol is a great reply. She also brought up Cuphead. You ever heard of that show? Apparently it's pretty good. Mental health initiatives came up. So did seeing New Kids on the Block in concert, and our mutual love of video games.
I was 3 years old and I wanted to play Pac-Man, right? Which I called Bucka Bucka. And coin op machines. Yeah, I'm dating myself now, but coin operated video game machines were magic, but I couldn't reach. I couldn't even climb up on those stools they had in the arcade. So my mother used to lift me up. So she gets all the blame and all the credit for my video game obsession. So I could play Pac-Man, and Chuck E. Cheese at Sheridan Mall back in the day. Magic, just the best. And to this day, I love those, those glass top table.
Oh yeah.
Player. I love those things. I could reach those on my own. Right. Those I could do.
What do you have? Do you have those, you said, or you want to have?
No, they're like $3,000 for a reproduction. I'd love one, but you got to maintain those too.
Yeah, big time. Well, don't they have them now where they have like the, 1,200 games or whatever, some shit in it, right?
Yeah, they have those that, like I said, the reproductions. And I'm a bit of a purist because I'm going to drop a ton of technical terms. Those are old CRT monitors and everything like that. They suck a ton of power is the other problem, right? So my retro video game purist tendency, you see the Apple II in the background, right? My purist tendencies are not exactly environmentally friendly. So it's like, do I really need an ego piece? You see, there's a lot already. So I have the little, I think it was made by Coleco or something like that. The home game, turn it on next to the Pac-Man. That's retro. And the Nintendo Power Glove and the ROB and all that stuff. So
I had all that shit as a kid. Like, what was your house like as a kid growing up for all that? Like, you started at Atari and you went through ColecoVision and television and all that?
See, I grew up in the Jane Finch part of Toronto. We didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So we had an Atari. We had a Sega, not a Nintendo. My friends had a Nintendo. Like every different kids in the neighborhood would have different systems.
Totally right.
So one person had the Commodore 64, and I'd go over there and play this. This is really nerdy. A game called Mule. It was an early resource management game.
Yeah.
And then another friend had Crystal Castles, which was the coolest thing. What was it? Stargirl. One of the characters was playing Crystal Castles in one of the things. And I was like, what? Crystal Castles? I freaked right out. And then somebody else had Nintendo for Mario. And I have very, very strong memories of playing Super Mario Brothers and listening to Tarzan Dan on AM 680 back in the day. Dan's a friend of mine now, so that's a very, very vivid memory from childhood. Yeah. And then, the PlayStation era happened.
Isn't it cool to think back to when you were little and the things that ate up your time, music and sports and hanging with your friends and video games? And, I've been fortunate, I guess, it's always been a kind of a part of my life. And my mom was really into that stuff as well. So we were in, almost right away. It wasn't like we were the Commodore 64, but certainly Atari, through Intellivision and ColecoVision, and then Sega, and then, like Liana was saying, PlayStation. Well, we also talked about the NBA and NHL with her. Love at First Sight came up. Meeting Mark Hamill and Stan Lee. I am jealous on both counts. She shared a near-death story. We talked about The Sandman, which was, I thought, a great series. Superpowers and Green Lantern's ring, and just being comic book nerds in general.
Yeah, people get mad at me because I have Marvel and DC stuff mixed up in the background, but I don't judge.
Yeah, Marvel's superior, but you don't just dismiss DC.
Okay, Marvel extended content. It used to be DC was better on TV, Marvel was better on movies, but the Disney Plus stuff is sort of change that up. We'll see when James Gunn gets his chance to work his magic on DC. But I mean, I read
he's now co-COO or CEO, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
He's in a position to actually make change.
Yeah, they just unveiled his plans, but it starts in like 2025, right? But I started with Spider-Man.
Why does it take so long? Like what?
Well, they got to develop it, right? It's starting from scratch. It's a big risk, right? That making people wait that long, because people are going to forget if The Flash isn't a good movie. If Aquaman, he's going to wear that, rightly or wrongly. That's the unfortunate thing about media, is everybody can consume it, and there's no like degree in television reviewing. So opinions are like, assholes. Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
And you gotta sort of get used to that. As you know, I'm sure doing this show, you get some really unenlightened opinions.
Entertainment guest visits are powered by Sacred Meds, Canada's best craft cannabis and psilocybin dispensary. Visit sacredmeds.com and mention you heard about them through the podcast to open up a hidden category on their website. And use the code TODCAST at checkout for 10% off your order.
Without a doubt, they are one of Vancouver's best. They are the Harpoonist and the Axe Murderer, and a great song for them called Forever Fool. And maybe you caught their show at the Hollywood Theater in Kitsilano just a few months back. A stellar night overall. Went with my buddy Kyle. Boy, those guys can play. They also did a festival, I can't remember the name of it now, on the North Shore just this past summer. You got to love that setting too. Outside, mountains in the background, beer gardens, zero complaints. And was asking their singer Sean about playing a show with the podcast at Blue Light Studio. The answer was not no. So keep your fingers crossed. We can work something out with them because that would be outstanding. Looking forward to next week. We're doing a 12 guest themed podcast. We hear you loud and clear. Those styles of podcasts, for whatever reason, get played about double and on average to a week-to-week podcast where we have, like this week, 3 guests, right? So we've been banging out big weeks with 4 guests in each: music, sports, entertainment. And they're not on next week's first concert podcast. But check out what former Megadeth bassist, now with the band The Lucid, and of course Metal Allegiance, listen to David Ellefson and his first mind-blowing concert.
My very first concert was Kiss on the Rock and Roll Over Tour, February 6, 1977 at the Met Center in Bloomington.
Remembers the date.
Well, and what's funny about it is I just saw, I've seen Kiss a bunch, and of course we, performed with them and done shows with them as well. But I went to go see the end of the road tour when they came through Phoenix early last year, I guess. And I bought a T-shirt, and it had the Kiss Destroyer. It looked like the T-shirt I bought at that show in 1977. I didn't know bootleggers, but I bought a shirt outside from a bootlegger, and it was a crappy shirt. You wash it once and it falls apart.
Yeah.
And I was that kid. I didn't know. And so I bought this shirt. And so at the end of the road tour, there's a shirt that kind of looked like that. It was the Destroyer cover, and on the back it had a bunch of tour dates. And I got home and I'm looking at the tour dates and I'm going, how come they don't have Glendale, Arizona on the dates? And I realized that these are the tour dates from the Destroyer into the Rock and Roll Over Tour, because they were kind of seamless. I think it was kind of a seamless transition. They didn't change their costumes. And I remember Eddie Trunk and I were, beefing over, like, was that Destroyer? Was that Rock and Roll Over? Was that Love Gun? Because those 3 kind of ran together. And I love when you get with other Kiss nerds, because and we got people to do the same with Megadeth now. They nerd out over what show, what song list. And so I get it. I am part of one of those bands now. And so, again, kind of back to No Cover, it's just this whole circle. We're fanboying out and paying honor to, the idols and the heroes that got guitars in our hands and gave us a path forward. And then I, of course, meet Dave, and we find our own path forward, and we've now inspired a bunch of groups, that have come behind us. So it's nice to just be part of this sort of cycle of life.
What a cool guy. Really enjoyed talking with David Ellefson. Next week, all about first concerts. Chirp us off on social media. Let us know, what was your first concert like? Who was it? Where was it? How old were you? What do you still remember about that? As a massive music nerd, I love hearing about that stuff. Of course, we want to give a big thank you to this week's guests as well. Brooke Colucci, holy shit, you are inspiring. Just a crushing drummer. Cannot wait to hear what's up your sleeve. Thank you again for jumping on. Our resident sports loudmouth, Mr. Tequila, my brother from another mother. Always great to shoot the shit, catch up, talk sports. And actor and host of the It's Not Therapy show, Liana Kerzner. Thank you for jumping on the podcast as well. Had a great talk. Nice to finally meet you. And that's going to do it for this one. Episode 295, a nice little bow on this one. Let's call this one done. Once again, my name is Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you being there. It's nice to know that people are listening and actually coming back. If you like what you heard, please tell your friends. You can subscribe on iTunes and Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that. Comment and rate the podcast. That helps out big time. I mean, I've noticed every once in a while there's like a bit of a push, and suddenly you're just reaching places where you normally wouldn't. So yeah, do that. Comment and rate if you can. Toddcast podcast. Huge thanks to all of our fantastic sponsors. We couldn't do it without their unwavering support. You can find links to all sponsor websites at our site, toddhancock.ca. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast, you can for as little as $10 a day. It's cheap. It's inexpensive. There's contact info at the homepage. And if you help us find a sponsor, we will give you a commission. How many other podcasts are doing that? I'll give you a hint. It's none. 0. Till next time, don't be an asshole. Nobody wants to be around that. Have fun, play hard, and most of all, believe in yourself.
You've been listening to the Toddcast podcast, powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, dedicated to helping you find the best mortgage rates. Available 7 days a week at citywidemortgage.ca.
GZM Shows and the creators of 6 Minutes are rolling out their newest audio adventure with the podcast Discovering Dad. A cautious single dad with a secret past and his rebellious kids embark on a thrilling quest complete with hidden treasure, villains, and a family curse. New episodes of Discovering Dad roll out weekly starting June 11th on Apple Podcasts. Follow the show so you never miss an episode, or listen early and ad-free as a GZM Shows subscriber. Go to gzmshows.com to learn more.
The thing that I fought tooth and nail to bring my son into is Dungeons and Dragons. That is the ultimate solution to parenthood.
I'm Alexis Ohanian. In my podcast, Business Dad, I'm hoping to open up the conversation about balancing careers and family. I talked to Rainn Wilson. I wanted to learn more about Rainn's advice to play D&D with your kids. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.